You're listening to the Conversations with KidsPeace podcast. Advice, information, and inspiration from experts at the leading provider of mental and behavioral health services for children, adults, and those who love them. Now, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to our podcast series, Conversations with KidsPeace. I'm Bob Martin, and we are glad to welcome you to the start of our fourth season here on the podcast. So let's start with one of the great truths. Knowledge is power. That's a concept that resonates through our civilization since the Middle Ages. And a common explanation is that the more you know, the more you can control. And the more you know about experiences in the past, the better able you'll be to predict and react to circumstances that happen in the future. So that nugget of philosophy helps introduce our subject today. KidsPeace has announced the formation of an affiliated consulting practice called Spyglass Solutions. To discuss this new venture and what it hopes to accomplish, we're pleased to welcome Patrick Slattery and Ben Steefel, who are principal consultants at Spyglass. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, Ben, I want to start with you. We described Spyglass Solutions as an affiliated consulting practice. So in general, what does such an organization do?
Yeah, Bob. Well, thanks again for having us. As you know, in 2021, behavioral health care is turning the page on a political era as well as into life after COVID, which presents a number of challenges for organizations across the behavioral health continuum. And those are needs for short-term support in enhancing individual care systems that many organizations and communities don't fully understand what this means for them in the long term as well as the short term. As a consulting practice, Spyglass provides an expert service to healthcare organizations, schools, and communities to make sure that our individual care is as comprehensive as possible. We're here to share our expertise with the organizations around us. Our diverse team that we've connected ourselves with features seasoned professionals with decades of experience in healthcare. That includes different leadership roles, operational technology infrastructure, funding strategy, et cetera. And really just to summarize, in general, a consulting practice is there to share decades of experience, wisdom, as well as manpower with other entities that may benefit from our experience as well as our support.
And Patrick, KidsPeace has talked about doing something like this for many years, frankly. And I'm just wondering if you can give us some insight into the motivation of the organization in creating a consulting practice like Spyglass.
Sure, Bob. Thanks. This is a great opportunity to harness some of the internal, really extraordinary skills within our current array of staffing who have such wide breadth of professional experience in KidsPeace, and also experts that we are pulling together from across the country to help organizations tackle the challenges that they're facing. Especially in light of COVID, it has really shined a light on how difficult it is to operate these sorts of businesses and operations. Even in fact, last year when we were working on our strategic planning process, we really found that there were not a lot of great options for a third-party objective consultant to come in and help with our strategic planning process. And that was part of the genesis of Spyglass. And why we feel like there is a real need in the marketplace for some objective expert consultation to help organizations get through the challenges that they're facing.
You mentioned one of those challenges that folks might be facing, which is, looking at strategic planning and getting that fresh set of eyes. I'm wondering if you can talk about some of the other challenges that you see organizations facing in which KidsPeace expertise through Spyglass can help them manage and make the best of.
Well, anyone in this space knows that mental health and behavioral health care is a dynamic and really difficult business to operate. So having a third-party objective consultation can be key to making the changes necessary to survive and thrive. So I said that real fast, but there's a lot of change opportunity that folks have to take advantage of. And having some outside consultation can help facilitate that. Whether you're talking about operational assessments, implementation of evidence-based practices, implementation of the electronic health records, strategic planning. There are so many areas within an organization that can benefit from a fresh set of experienced eyes. I mean, I know just from KidsPeace's perspective, implementing an electronic health record was a monumental task that involved every facet of the organization at a very large expense, with a lot of optimism for return on that investment in improved clinical care, improved patient accounting, and so forth. So that level of experience, having gone through that, is something that other organizations who are contemplating implementing an electronic health record or evidence-based practices or strategic planning can benefit from so many of the lessons learned and avoid some of the pitfalls that others have experienced.
Ben, I was thinking when we were talking about doing this podcast that one specific challenge that faces the potential partners for Spyglass right now, of course, is the COVID-19 pandemic. Are there aspects to this current situation that you see that underscore the need for the help that Spyglass can provide its partners?
Yeah, Bob. So we're seeing a change universally in the way that business is done. And that doesn't just apply to healthcare and community care and education, but across the board. You can be in retail or media, and the way business is being done has changed everywhere because of COVID-19. More is happening virtually, more people are working from home. So this is creating new, unique opportunities for organizations. Some would say challenges, but also opportunities for organizations to reassess their internal culture. And there's a lot of valuable information out there on how organizations can move forward through COVID and out of COVID and make changes to be more efficient in their day-to-day business practice. One example would be a report that was published at the end of 2020 by the Wall Street Journal that said that across the world, more than $100 billion is expected to be cut from travel budgets, from corporate travel budgets. So what does that mean for our organization? That's exactly the type of question that Spyglass wants to help you answer by, like Patrick said, taking an objective look at your organization and then finding the areas for growth and how to adjust accordingly when we know that the world is not going to look the same at the end of 2021 that it did at the beginning of 2020.
I thought it's interesting on that point too, that Spyglass will be offering not just expertise from individuals at KidsPeace, but that of other industry leaders to try to give even a broader sense of expertise and of help. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I would describe Spyglass as a community initiative that we're offering consultation as well as other services that I know we'll talk about later, but we're at the core community initiative. And in order to best serve the community, it was invaluable for us to make sure that we had a variety of professionals available and ready to help meet the needs of the organizations who may want to partner with us. So what we've done through the process of developing Spyglass is built these relationships within our network, our professional network, that allows external consultants, these are non-KidsPeace employees, to be a part of the Spyglass mission. And these are people that have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience that can offer their experience through the Spyglass platform and allow them to have a greater impact on the community as a whole.
Patrick, you alluded to something I think earlier that is another interesting aspect to the new venture. It's that the offerings that it has, the help, the consultation, the expertise, is not just meant for groups and organizations in the specific field of mental and behavioral health care. Beside providers there, what kind of organizations do you see benefiting from working with Spyglass's consultants?
Yeah, it's a great question. You think about organizations and entities, businesses in the community that you might not think mental health, behavioral health would make any sense or have any kind of rational connection. But just think about schools, police and fire departments, and virtually any business that's outward facing, any business or organization that periodically encounters traumatic events, schools, police and fire, they're interacting with the broad swath of the community, and the people who work there and the people who they help are oftentimes experiencing trauma. So we have elements of Spyglass that can go in and help consult on how to work through those things. Think about the pressure on police departments right now in law enforcement and interacting with the community, especially as it relates to those that may have mental health issues that they're encountering, and how helpful it would be to have a third-party consultative group come in and guide them through the process of adjusting their practices to better meet the needs of their respective communities. The mental health crisis, mental health needs, every expert is saying that post-pandemic, we're going to see an even greater need for those services. But there are so many organizations that you might not think are the ones really working with them, but they are, and they need some help in better understanding how to work through that. As an example, the Central Bucks school system, not far from where we are now, has experienced 4 or 5 really traumatic events over the last several years. And via KidsPeace and now Spyglass, have gone in there to really assist with consulting with them through these traumatic events, providing debriefings, providing mental health expertise to the staff, to the kids, to the administration, so that they can work through the challenges of suicide within the school, violence within the school. These are really traumatic events for a somewhat vulnerable population, and by way of Spyglass coming in to provide sort of a critical incident response team, which you'll see on the website. If you go to spyglasssolutions.org, you'll learn a little bit more about that. But providing that service is a great way to bolster what these organizations are doing and help them serve their constituents even better.
And that, Ben, that leads me to my question to you. The offering that Spyglass, its general offering, goes beyond this expertise sharing to some of those specific programs and products that Patrick was alluding to. Can you tell us a little bit about what some of those things are that are available to those organizations who partner with Spyglass going forward?
Yeah, so the Spyglass is a consulting practice first and foremost, but it's not just a consulting or a knowledge engine. It's a platform that allows KidsPeace, that's this 100-plus-year-old behavioral healthcare organization, to start to distribute some of their proven behavioral health products. So what does that mean? That's products that KidsPeace has used over and over again and found success in their own clinical milieus to be effective and productive in the treatment process, and start bringing those out to other organizations and into the community. So for example, Jody Whitcomb, who's our Director of Training and Development, is the owner or the founder of the Oasis product line that's utilized across KidsPeace residential programs. And Oasis doesn't just look at the impact of the clinical services being provided in treatment, but also looks at the value and importance of the environment that treatment is being provided, as well as offering the professional staff the opportunity to receive their own care and their own check-in following a burnout or a clinical crisis, to make sure that the environment of care is as safe and supportive for everybody involved as possible.
Got to be something that's very much of interest to organizations, as we said before, coming out of the stresses and the anxieties of the pandemic, as well as in general, just what we find in our business and in an organization's work. This sort of last question is for both of you. Now that Spyglass has become a reality, what do you hope the practice is able to do in the next few years? Ben, let me start with you on that.
Yeah, I think our mission's pretty clear with where we're starting. We want to use our internal resources, our external network to improve care of young people and adults in communities across the country and eventually internationally. Obviously, there are bottom line expectations that come with any startup, but we really believe that this model is sustainable. So we're focused on connecting with as many organizations, schools, and communities as we can. I think that word connection is vital to the Spyglass mission, in that we are not just looking to insert our staff into your organization or your clinical practice or your school. We're looking to create partnerships that benefit your business as well as provide benefit to the community and to individuals as a whole. So I think that the next step is to take the product and the service that we have available and start to slowly refine and connect with the organizations in our area and nationally to hear more about what their needs are so that we can make sure we're able to meet those needs.
I guess to some of Ben's points, to me, the way I sort of frame it in my own mind is it's really a win-win-win, right? For those partners that work with us, they get a valuable consultation, something that can transform their business. So that's a win. We get to share the great expertise that we've obtained over many years. So we have so many outstanding leaders who have so much to offer and ultimately the final win is improving the lives of those people in the communities they serve, right? So that's the ultimate goal is to make things better. That is part and parcel to the mission, and that's what gets us up in the morning. We want to have that win-win-win scenario where everyone's benefiting, and ultimately, those people that are being served within those organizations are getting the best service they can.
When we arranged to have you guys on the podcast, it occurred to me that we've kind of been running a bit of a consulting practice ourselves, because we end each of our podcasts by asking our guests to provide to our audience a life hack. This could be a piece of advice, inspiration, recommendation, whatever. Ben, why don't we go with you again? What's your life hack today?
So I thought about this a while last night, and I asked my fiance for advice because I figured she probably picks up on the weird lifey things that I do better than I do. So this was a team effort between she and I, and something I discovered a few years ago now that I probably couldn't live without. And maybe this is a millennial thing, if you want to call it that. But I have an iPhone, and if I have Siri turned on my iPhone, Patrick made it clear that was a prerequisite. I hold down my lock button, that button on the right-hand side of the phone when it's locked, and that pops up Siri. And all I have to say is, remind me at 3:00 to take out the trash, or better yet, remind me on January 1st, 2022 to get an oil change. And I probably have 200 reminders that are just backed up in my phone for the next 10 years. But the good news about that is I don't have to really remember anything, and I can focus all my energy on Spyglass and KidsPeace.
It's interesting how the youngest guy in the group has got the reminder function nailed down. That's probably something that I should do better.
I don't know. I'm the kind of person that I could do that, and then I'd forget where I put my phone. So that's like it is. Patrick, how about you? Life hack today.
I'll switch it up a little bit, and not so much a hack, but one of my favorite quotes. You can easily judge the character of a person by how he treats those who can do nothing for him, right? So, and maybe that relates to Spyglass in a little bit. This is about ultimate good. This is about the betterment of the community. We'll be talking to folks, I'm sure on many occasions that we may never have an engagement with, but we want to be a resource to people. We want to have those conversations, and it's not about necessarily what's in it for me or you or anyone else. It's really what's in it for the community, and so that's my takeaway for the day.
I love having the practical and the philosophical all together. Patrick Slattery and Ben Steefel are principal consultants with Spyglass Solutions, an affiliated consulting practice just launched by KidsPeace. And you can learn much more about the practice and its various offerings and how to become a Spyglass partner by visiting their website, which we talked about before. It is www.spyglasssolutions, it's all one word, spyglasssolutions.org. Patrick and Ben, thanks for taking time to talk with us, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Bob.
No problem. I'm Bob Martin. Thank you for joining us as well. We look forward to having you join us again for more conversations with KidsPeace. Take care.